All right, week 6 NFL football has come to a conclusion. I'm a little bit disappointed tonight. Steven, happy you're back on the show, my friend, but you're catching me at a really bad time. I'm not even mad. We were talking before the show started. I'm not going to freak out today. I'm going to have a little bit of a talk to the viewers about the Bills, but I'm just disappointed. You know, you're catching me at a bad time, but I'm happy you're back on the show. Happy you're back to speak your mind. How you doing, my friend?
I feel great right now. Anytime that I have a successful fantasy sweat, I feel it's like the greatest high in the world. Like I get to brag to all my friends, like I know more ball than you, my players are better. Surviving BJ Robinson was like surviving a headshot from Mike Tyson. Like seriously, 35 points, and I only won by 3 tonight. Thank God Algier took one of those touchdowns. Or thank God Caleb Williams' pass to Roma Dunze got canceled out for illegal formation, or I'd be a dead man right now. And I'd be sitting in your boat. I'm telling you, bro, when I lose fantasy, I'm a Colts fan. I care more about my fantasy team at times, especially with all the money I get in different leagues, than I do against my real team. Because it feels like when my real team loses, we can make that up. When I lose in fantasy, I feel like I just can't make it up. I feel like season's over. But I'm glad I won today.
You know what's funny? You can tell the guys who play fantasy just by the look on their face on Tuesday morning. Like when you show up to work or you're at school or you're with your buddies, it's like you definitely know who lost fantasy and who won fantasy. And it becomes a bragging thing too with your boys, right? So I get it. It's like going through a workout, dude. You're sweating. And tonight, Bijan, you're up against him. The probability of you winning this week is close to 0. Like, what a phenomenal game. And that's got to be the worst. Like, you end your tough Monday. I mean, for us Canadians, it's Thanksgiving here, so even worse on a holiday. But it's just ruined by a guy in Bijan Robinson who goes off. But we'll get into Falcons. We'll get into Bears Commanders. We got Sunday Night Football. We're talking Little Drake May tonight. We're doing a little bit of everything. It's the Monday Night Football recap. We're going over Week 6. If you want to see a few other games, I did them yesterday on the show, so you can go check that out. But you know the drill tonight. JV, Steven back on the JV show. Before we get things started, I would like to remind y'all I'm sponsored this year by my friends at Big Third Down Shop. Go check them out. They got a bunch of these real sick hats, including this Mafia one, which I am still repping tonight because, you know, I want to be a truthful Bills fan on the show here. Go check them out. Show them some love. And without further ado, Steve, it pains me, but let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Falcons 24, Bills 14. I'm going to talk Falcons first. I want to just go over how the game looked on that side of the ball before I get into it with the Bills. Michael Penix, when he's protected, is an elite passer of the football, man. It's pretty incredible what I saw and what we've seen so far from Michael Penix. When Michael Penix has protection, he's a really good passer of the football. I think the zip on the ball is pretty incredible that he's got. I think the way that he performed tonight, when he did have a clean pocket, he was finding Drake London, who's a huge asset for him. He's a masterful pocket passer. He's got a lot of heat on his balls. Definition of the gunslinger. Like, when you watch him play, it's crazy some of the throws he makes. Now, extending, playmaking, when things collapse and you need a Superman performance, you need a Superman play, I don't think you'll get that from Michael Penix yet. I think that's a flaw in his game. But when he's protected, he can carve a defense all the way down the field. I'd like to see him layer passes more. It's always like a bullet, I find. There was a pass tonight to Drake London, I think, corner on the sidelines that he just missed. So I'd like to see that from him. But overall, he really is a gunslinger, and I think the Falcons can win with him at the end of the day. What are your thoughts?
You know, I've never been the biggest fan of Michael Penix when he was in Washington. Thought he was a limited quarterback. He was already pushing 30 when he was coming out. And then you can tell he has limited playmaking abilities. I know it's lazy, but I feel like he's just like another Tua. I know he's left-handed, can't really move, so it's easy to call him Tua. But you could see, if you take the positives out of Tua, a guy who can process the field, if you just have his first read open on a talented offense, he can move the ball up and down the field. But my biggest takeaway, honestly, from Atlanta last night is they clearly look like an offense that spent the last 4 first rounds on picks. Bijan, Drake London, even Kyle Pitts when he got his number called. I mean, how good is this team? And then you insert Michael Penix in there, who gives them more juice than Kirk Cousins because of his age. This offense, when they're on fire, It's just fireworks. Seriously, that first half, I mean, they made Buffalo's defense look like Swiss cheese. Just Drake London, I don't know how many yards he finished with. I'm pulled up. 158, 10 receptions, touchdown. Bijan, 170 on the ground. That doesn't even count what he had through the air. He had 238 scrimmage and a touchdown. I mean, this offense and the defense, I got to give them credit too. They really came up big. 2 turnovers off Josh Allen at home sealed the deal. But this Atlanta offense, when they're humming, they could be one of the best offenses in the league. And this is what they're supposed to look like, though. Because the problem the last few years is like Kirk Cousins gave him a few games, Michael Penix gave him a few games, but it was never like, this is Michael Penix's first back-to-back wins since the end of last season. But they never gave you like that consistently. They lost to freaking Carolina. But they spent all these picks in the first round on offense. You expect more quality games against that type of opponent from this unit.
I couldn't agree more, man. This Falcons team at their best is a playoff team. They really are. The defense is so much better than what it's been. They're putting more pressure on the quarterback. Jalen Walker and James Pierce, 2 really great draft picks coming out of the first round. Jalen Walker making plays everywhere on special teams. James Pierce leaving his everything on the field, which I've loved from those 2 edges this season. But when you look at the offense, Steve, I couldn't agree more. Michael Penix, he does leave a little bit to be desired. He leaves a little bit on the table. He's never going to be, in my opinion, the talent of a Josh Allen, a Lamar, even a Caleb Williams. There's a clear talent gap between him and the upper echelon of quarterbacks in the NFL. But with that being said, you surround him with pieces like Drake London, a Kyle Pitts, a Bijan, Algier. They got some ballers there. He can produce. And at his best, I think he can bring them to the playoffs and maybe even win a game. I think the offense maxes out at some point, and I think we kind of saw that more or less in the second half. But when they're explosive, man, they're off the charts, this offense. Bijan tonight, like you mentioned, Steve, what a phenomenal evening. I'm ready to say he's, arguably the best running back right now in football. I don't know where he sits for you. Would you say he's number 1?
Oh, he looks like the best running back. I don't know if I'd say definitively he is because it's a toss-up. Is it? You still got to give Saquon credit, although the Eagles aren't really helping him block. Jahmyr Gibbs is in the conversation. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Who am I forgetting?
Well, you could say CMC at his best.
CMC's still in there.
He's
I feel like
balling.
Derrick Henry this season with the fumbles. I feel like I'm forgetting a back. There's someone who I'm forgetting. Am I blanking?
Like, you could say Jahmyr Gibbs maybe. Like, there's some good talent out there, but I think Bijan is starting to really separate himself from the group. I mean, CMC's getting older. Barkley.
Jonathan Taylor. Jeez, how did I forget my running back?
My goodness.
I forgot my running back. But yeah,
you know what?
Jonathan Taylor, they're with Puka out, they're going to be battling for Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, these 2 guys, what a year for running backs we're having. These 2 guys feel like they can pop for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns any given Sunday. So, yeah, I mean, I'd probably give it just to Taylor, just on a little lengthy resume, did it for a little longer. But Bijan, if you were to say right now Bijan Robinson is the best running back in football, just with the other night saying Puka Nacua is the best wide receiver in football, I wouldn't blame anyone one bit. These guys are superstar offensive engines who on any given Sunday, you can just give them the ball and just be like, win us a game and just be our entire offense. Like, again, he had 238 scrimmage yards, 8.9 a carry. Insane.
I'm probably even giving the nod to Bijan over JT. And JT is a phenomenal player. And just like running backs, receivers this year, too, everyone's having a historic season. From a positional standpoint, you got JSN, Puka, they're balling in that aspect of the game. But I think Bijan, he's just a little bit more agile maybe than JT. Like, I think he can do a little bit more with the ball in his hands, and I think he's a better receiving back than JT. I'd say he makes a little bit more of an impact there. So I'd probably lean Bijan, but man, is he at the top of his game. He came in, had a pretty good year 1, but he's just taking step after step. And with the talent on this Falcons offense, man, they look really good. And at their best, this is who they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be a competitive team that can match up with almost every NFL team we got right now. But even with all this talent, Steve, and here we go, let's talk Buffalo Bills. I'm not mad. I'm just really disappointed because we have no identity, right? Like, I'm thinking of teams. The 49ers, you can always count on their physicality. The Lions last year, their creativity. The Chiefs, they master the basics. They limit their turnovers. Buffalo has no identity. We have no physicality. We have no spirit. Nobody looks like they want to win. The run game is good, but we abandon it with the play calling. We rely on Josh Allen to be Superman week in, week out. And if he's not that, we're a very average team. We can't tackle, we can't cover, we can't put pressure on the quarterback. We have no weapons offensively, no receivers that separate. We don't have a number one. You could argue we don't even have a number two. Shakir's really shifty and good, but I don't know where he ranks among the receivers in the league. Losing back-to-back games to New England and Atlanta is just pathetic. And our window is just starting to close more and more and more every week I watch this team. Like I said, we've been a ticking time bomb for how long now? Our defense has always been a huge concern. You're coming off a horrendous primetime game against the division rival. You have an opportunity on primetime to go out, show out, and Sean McDermott's defense comes out flat. We allow Bijan Robinson to run all over us. I just don't get it. We have this opportunity in front of the nation. I get there's 2 Monday Nighters going on, but how does our defense come out looking like shit? Complete garbage. We look disinterested, to be honest with you. We're lacking an identity, and with the way our division is looking, with the way the AFC has just been wide open all year, it pains me that we're not capitalizing on this. And this isn't even me yelling or anything. It's just the reality of the situation.
Well, I appreciate the lengthy rant because my internet spiked for a second. And I missed like half you said. So if you would have called on me, it would have been a blank screen. But JV, Bills are in trouble, right? They came into tonight's game as the Vegas Super Bowl favorites. They don't look like it at all, and they haven't for quite some time. Listen, I know they're 4-2, and that's supposed to be great, but this resume, when you really dissect it, that doesn't look impressive at all. I mean, they had that Herculean comeback against Lamar Jackson, but now we understand that the Ravens are a joke, and then you break down the rest of these wins. Justin Fields, Jets, Tua, Dolphins, Rattler, Saints, and now you play two teams who are today above 500, and you lost, Patriots and Falcons. So listen, I'm not saying the Bills aren't contenders because to me, as long as Josh Allen's at the peak of his powers, they always have a chance. But this isn't a championship-level defense at all. And offensively, they're still so Josh Allen reliant. And if Joe Brady's not giving it to James Cook every game, then they got these wide receivers who aren't ones and maybe not twos. So there's a lot of concerns in Buffalo right now, man. And you look at Kansas City, the team that they can't get over that hump. I know you know Kansas City, JV, can't get over that hump. Not only does Kansas City have one of the best defenses in the league that Buffalo clearly doesn't, Kansas City has an offense that can score over 30 points a game. And Buffalo looked like they at least could Josh Allen their way out of these games, but back-to-back losses now where they haven't scored more than 20 points. So not only is their defense Swiss cheese, they can't score. I mean, how many third downs, JV, during that Falcons game where Josh Allen just gets sacked, has no chance, or he's looking down the field and he's got like who? Who's he throwing to? Like where Keon Coleman just hasn't broken out yet, really. You thought week 1 he was going to, but he hasn't. Shakir's like a slot 2-3. They got the 2 tight ends, but one of them was out. So on both sides of the ball, they're not great right now. Can't really say this is a tier 1 contender.
They're not, and it's been like this for so long. Like, I know we had Diggs, but it's always been just a pretty average team, and as time has gone on, Josh Allen has just taken more and more responsibility on his shoulders. And like I said, Steve, Buffalo's chances of a Super Bowl keep getting slimmer every single week. Honestly, watching tonight, I was sick to my stomach. Because like you said, and we're going to talk about the Chiefs, and I'm going to keep it real with you and everyone else here, they look phenomenal. And for me, that's an issue because we've had opportunity after opportunity, and we failed. We have flat out failed. I'm fine watching a team that wants to win lose, but we looked pathetic. We looked like we didn't want to be there. McDermott's defense comes out flat after a bad primetime game against the Pats. Joe Brady's play calling tonight and against the Pats was brutal. That's 2 straight games of brutal play calling from Joe Brady. Josh Allen's got to be better. I'm going to touch on that in a second. We got nobody that separates. Like I said, we have nobody to turn to. I think I saw honestly, I'm not a master with the roster or the depth chart, but there were guys I didn't even know we had on our team out there today. I just don't get it. Our entire roster, by the way, was injured today, apparently. We just showed up and decided everyone's going to the blue tent. That didn't help at all. But it's like, we have nobody. It's crazy, but we actually don't. We are such a fraudulent and weird championship caliber team that is so reliant on Josh Allen. And now we're getting a previous version of Josh Allen. Josh Allen's got to play better football. He has to. And he was the MVP last year. I'm a huge Josh Allen supporter. I have no doubts that this guy is a top 3 quarterback in football. But these last 2 games have not reflected who Josh Allen really is. He's back to his old careless turnover ways, and that has to be eliminated. You have to know your role for the Buffalo Bills. In being Superman, you can't have careless turnovers that puts the team at a disadvantage because you're already playing from behind with no weapons, with nobody to look to, with a defense that looks like Swiss cheese, just like you said, Steve. And I want to get all the way on Josh Allen here, but the play calling's been also brutal. The coaching's also been brutal. He doesn't have a lot of talent to work with. So as much as I think he's got to be better, I just think overall this Bills team is really concerning. And with the Patriots and how they're climbing the ranks right now, and we're going to talk about Drake Maye because it's super concerning for me, I'm just worried. Like, in the AFC right now, where would you rank the Bills, do you think?
Well, I'd still have them close to the top because the AFC has just been a disaster this year.
Right.
With no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. Even if Lamar comes back, I don't even know if the Ravens make the playoffs. I'd still have them on the top. Obviously, Kansas City's number 1. I told you when they were like 0-2, 1-2, I'm not removing them from the top. Something tells me this team's just going to get better, not doubting them. Just thinking about the AFC right now, like Denver is a great great defense. I don't trust Bo Nix against Josh Allen. Chargers
right now, I'd say the Colts are playing better football than us.
They are, but big spot, Daniel Jones, Josh Allen.
True.
I think I'm just going to take Superman just to
sure.
win that game by himself. Chargers look 3-0, but then they lost their tackles and they're kind of not the same juice. So I think I'd still have them as number 2, unless I'm forgetting a team in the AFC. The Patriots just beat them. The Patriots, you said you're going to talk about them in a second, just took first place in the division. But I'd still take Buffalo over New England, though. Again, in the playoffs. But I think the AFC just hasn't been that great this year. But it's concerning. You were talking about Josh Allen being careless. You could tell this game that he felt the heat a little bit, that he had to be Superman, and he just didn't deliver tonight. The flip pass and 4th down, that was incomplete. Did a little shovel out, and it was a turnover on downs. The turnover at halftime, he was just trying to put something on the board because they were getting killed. And he ended up throwing an interception. Defense gave up a touchdown in 10 seconds. What does that remind you of? The divisional round in 2021. Defense not coming through again. Then he had to pick late because, again, he's just trying to do too much. You felt like in that game Josh Allen was trying to do too much. And the recipe for Buffalo is like Josh Allen, be Superman in key spots, not the entire game.
Yeah, it's just got to come naturally for him. And when it's forced, like tonight, and holy shit, just watching them run that hook and lateral in the 4th, I was like, what are we doing, man? That was, at that point, I was done. Like, I turned off the TV. Anyways, we're moving past it. Unfortunate night. But I still have hope, Steve. Like, I'm not writing them off. I'm wearing my Bills gear tonight. But it is a little bit of a concern because we're going to talk about the Patriots later on this evening. Let's move to the other Monday nighter tonight. Bears win 25-24. Caleb takes down his arch nemesis, Jaden Daniels, the guy that he's been compared to coming out of the same draft class. Jaden Daniels has a phenomenal year 1. I still think he's balling despite what people have said about potential sophomore slumps and all that. We'll talk about Jaden, but first, Caleb Williams. Steve, I know you've been a big fan and you've been supporting him a lot. It really is a love-hate relationship with Caleb Williams. He can make the most elite pass you've ever seen. He'll make the most perfect play and follow it up with the worst pass you've ever witnessed. It's really odd, and the inconsistency is still there, but he'll make a handful of super talented plays which makes me wonder why people have already given up on this guy. Like, I just don't understand. I'll say it every episode. It should be printed on a shirt here. The talent is undeniable. And with that, I think they can work with it. He still needs to take more time going through his reads. There is built-in success in the system that Ben Johnson provides, and he's rushing it. It still seems a lot of, moving and figuring things out as things are going on and, trying to make things out of nothing on the field. You go to the Lions last year, Jared Goff, a quarterback that sits in the pocket. He pretty much just goes through the reads, goes through the system. It's a very different quarterback now in Chicago with Caleb Williams. There's a whole new skill set that Ben Johnson is dealing with. I think Caleb's got to trust his reads a little more, and he doesn't have to improvise on every damn play. But like I said, the talent is undeniably there, and he is growing week after week. They might be small steps, but he's getting better every week. So I think the future for Caleb Williams is bright in Chicago. I think they got their franchise guy, of course, and to give up on him right now would be silly. This was a big win, I think, for his confidence, Steven, because last year we know what that loss to Washington did for the rest of their season.
I don't know if Caleb Williams, I don't know how good he is still. Right, like on one hand, I see the talent. I see the way he moves around, runs around, make plays, the arm, the mobility. But the other hand, I don't know how accurate he is. It still seems like it's not as smooth, operational from the pocket. Just standing in there and delivering that 10-yard curl. Not the most accurate ball. And it kind of felt like they got gifted the win tonight, right? Like most of their scores were fumbles off the Commanders that felt pretty lucky. And then, of course, that one of his touchdowns was to DeAndre Swift that went 55 yards. He didn't do anything really on that. But at the end of the day, the Bears are 3-2. And I think if you're a Bears fan, that's really all you care about, right? You went years of losing with Trubisky and Justin Fields and have a quarterback that has you 3-2, to have a quarterback that is the first in history to have 200-plus passing yards and a touchdown in each of his first 5 games of a Bears season, you think that's a win, right? It's like a Trevor Lawrence situation. Where it's like, yeah, he's not as good as we thought he was coming out, but he's still good enough relative to the standard of that franchise. Like Trevor Lawrence is already like the best Jags quarterback in history, and Caleb Williams is probably already the best Bears quarterback in history. So you'll take that. Not as good as we thought they were coming out of college, but again, Caleb Williams is probably going to break the Bears passing records this year. And they're 3-2. So you can say Caleb Williams is not as good as we thought. Caleb Williams, first Bears quarterback, 200-plus passing yards and a touchdown in each of his first 5 games of the season. Like, they're 3-2.
You can look for bad things with Caleb Williams, and you'll find bad things. You can look for good things with Caleb Williams, and you'll find good things. It's really the way you choose to frame your opinion on Caleb Williams. And I think at the end of the day, when you're 3-2, that is success. That is a step up from last year. That is, hey, we're in, the zone to make the playoffs. So we have an opportunity now to go out and build on this record, build off a big win against a team that went to the conference championship last year and potentially make the playoffs. I completely agree with you. The off-target throws, the complete misses, that has to be cleaned up. But I trust with time, with development, that hopefully will be fixed. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, we're in, year 5 now, and we're just starting to see him get a rhythm of things with Liam Cohen. I'd like to give it time and see what happens, because right now, undeniably, the talent is there. And week after week, I love what I'm seeing from him. Just to touch on the Bears overall real quick tonight, a phenomenal night from DeAndre Swift. He broke out both in the pass game and the run game. I think he had 130 all-purpose yards, a huge touchdown reception, which really helped them win that game. And then Jake Moody, I mean, talk about reviving a career. You get bashed on in San Francisco, comes back. I know he had a field goal block, but everything else perfect, plus the game-winning field goal. And then the Bears as a whole, Steve, before we move to Jaden Daniels here, the O-line has been really good this year, and that's something they struggled with. Especially tonight, they looked exceptional. And it goes to show you how much a competent O-line and protection can do, both for a run game and for a quarterback. That is something that this organization has not given a shit about for a real long time. So I'm happy to see that Ben Johnson came in and improved that. I don't know if you want to touch on any of that, Jake Moody, the O-line, but I think the Bears have something good cooking. I don't know if they're making the playoffs this year, but I think the league as a whole is pretty wide open right now.
Well, I guess quickly I'll say the same thing about Caleb as I will for the Bears. I don't even know how good the Bears are. I don't think they're all that good. Just like with Caleb, I don't really know how good Caleb is. We've seen flashes of this team offense looking like the Detroit Lions with Ben Johnson against Dallas, but then we've seen this offense for stretches, halves, look very clunky. Look like they haven't even practiced. I mean, they were off a bye this week, and for majority of the game, outside of a couple scores that got gifted because of field position on fumbles, it didn't look like they could, move the ball particularly well. But like you said, DeAndre Swift, amazing game. It's very encouraging when you can run the football, especially for your quarterback. And then Jake Moody, your kicker, he had one blocked, but he makes the game winner. So like I said, in the end of the day, they're 3-2. Don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but 3-2 is better than 1-4, 1-5, and they won 5 games last year. Yeah. So you're already 2 wins away from last year's total, and it's week 6.
Exactly, it's encouraging. As for Jaden Daniels tonight, I think Jaden Daniels is beating the sophomore slump allegations. I think he's looked phenomenal all year long, considering the injuries he's had, considering missing Terry McLaurin tonight. All he does is make plays. And since he came into the league, he's looked like an NFL veteran. He's looked like a pro. He was the most pro-ready quarterback, and it showed last year in year 1 out of all the rookie quarterbacks. He's got a lethal arm. He's dangerous on the ground. No Terry McLaurin tonight, still throws for 200-plus yards, 3 touchdowns. I know the turnovers killed them tonight. It's tough in the rain. I'm not making excuses for him. He's got to be better. The offense has to be better as a whole. But some of the passes he made tonight in the rain, you can just see the flashes of the excellence that we saw all throughout last year, and it's being continued. I mean, people are talking Drake Maye is the number 1 quarterback coming out of the draft class. The recency bias is pretty crazy because we're forgetting about the season we just saw from Jaden Daniels. Now, I'm not, naming a quarterback to be number 1 in the class just yet, but let's not forget Jaden Daniels is still here, right?
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, to me, although I really like what I'm seeing from Drake Maye, Jaden Daniels is still the best quarterback in this draft class. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, if it wasn't raining, they'd probably close out Chicago. Let's be real here. Jaden Daniels, he had the bad pick, threw a late pass at Debo early, but I thought he shook it off, and since then, he had some field goal misses, a Bill fumble, but then he rebounded with 3 touchdowns. He looked in command of the offense. The guy looks very poised from the pocket. He reminds you a lot of Lamar Jackson. It's like they can wow you with the legs, but don't sleep on what they can do from the pocket and with their arm. And Jaden Daniels is in very much command of this Commanders offense. And I think, some people with Drake Maye breaking Patriots records or putting up numbers that we haven't seen since Brady, and all this hype around them in the organization has had people forget, like you said, the guy won 2 playoff games last year and went to an NFC championship. And now his team should have been above 500 today with a win against Chicago, but he's been out with an injury. But he just had the win against Justin Herbert and the Chargers, and he should have had a win against Caleb Williams and the Bears. But 3 touchdowns. Tonight he looked like the 5th best quarterback in the league.
I thought he looked incredible, and considering the conditions, I think when it's all said and done, yes, Drake Maye is having a phenomenal year, but I still got Jaden at 1. And I think you're a fool to look at 6 weeks of football this year where Jaden's been injured and say Drake Maye's automatically claim the top spot out of that class. I just don't see it. I think Jaden Daniels, what he did last year, that's enough proof, as well as what he's done so far this year. He's looked really, really good. Let's move to Sunday Night Football. Chiefs 30, Lions 17. We hinted at the Chiefs. We've talked about them so much and said you can't count this team out. You simply cannot. You look at their schedule this year, Steve, so far. They've had the Chargers, which was at their peak when they had protection, the Eagles, the Giants, that's kind of a write-off, but you got the Ravens with Lamar healthy, you got the Jaguars, the Lions. This is a brutal start to the season, and they came out 3-3, not too bad considering they didn't have a number 1 weapon for a few games, no Rashee Rice. Now Rashee Rice is coming back. How about Patrick Mahomes, man? Mahomes is in MVP form. He's playing flawless football. 250 yards, 3 touchdowns. The playmaking is always there. The throwing angles, always there. Absolutely everything is on the board for Patrick Mahomes. The takeover ability, we've seen it time and time again. Mahomes lead his team on game-winning drives. Since 2020, Mahomes has led the most game-winning drives in the NFL at 19. That's a pretty incredible stat. He's far more efficient than last year, and now he's getting Rashee Rice back. He's pushing the ball deep, finally. Every single game, he's got a 30-yard pass at minimum. Last year, he had 30% of his games without a 30-yard pass. He's doing it at 100% consistency this season. And don't forget, people essentially dismissed Patrick Mahomes this season. They forgot about him when they were making their top 10, or pardon me, at least top 5 quarterback lists. They were saying Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Mahomes has fallen off a cliff. I don't think so. And it's proving to me right now that Patrick Mahomes is still that guy. He's in MVP form. He has been since week 1. He just hasn't had the support around him. He's got an aging Travis Kelce. He's got Xavier Worthy, who's bumped in and out of the lineup. He's building connections with guys on the offense as the season goes on. He's winging it. But now, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, the run game's moving. We'll talk about that right away. It's getting pretty dangerous.
Well, this morning, I went on record and said Patrick Mahomes will win the NFL MVP. As of tonight, what is it, 11:18 Central Time for me, Mahomes is now the MVP favorite on FanDuel. Josh Allen has given up his lead. Baker Mayfield, if it ended today, would be the MVP. But they don't do odds on if the MVP ended today. It's the odds of when the MVP ends, and that's the end of the season. And everyone knows Patrick Mahomes has overcome a lot in this offense. Kelce drops, Worthy, Rice absences, Bucker misses, a Trevor Lawrence stumble in touchdown for the win. How weird was that? And they look like the best team in football. And despite, yes, I know they're 3-3, but Mahomes is the leader of quarterbacks in total yards and touchdowns right now. And I don't think there's a single quarterback in the planet playing better, all things considered, than Patrick Mahomes. And I said it, when Patrick Mahomes looks like the best quarterback in the world, no one else can compete. And that's no shot to guys like Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, Dak, Josh Allen, Daniel Jones. But there's levels to this. And for some reason, JV, like you said, people were knocking him off the top of the mountain. Nick Wright calls it Mahomes Mountain for a reason. It's Mahomes Mountain. It's been Mahomes Mountain for like 6 years. He owns the mountain. You can't knock off the person from the top of the mountain until someone actually knocks him off. He can't just fall off on his own. You got to actually go up there and knock him off, or else he's going to stay there. And no one's knocked off Mahomes. And Mahomes in prime time just delivering these multi-touchdown games because he's Patrick Mahomes. And as far as the Chiefs go, again, I know they're 3-3, but look what they had to overcome. And right now, out of all the teams in the league, who's the last one you want to face today? The Chiefs. Because they're the best, and not just the AFC. I've been saying they're the best in the AFC for weeks now, but I officially think they're the best in the NFL. I wouldn't want to face them. They're humming on both sides of the ball right now. Offense, since Worthy's come back, is 30 a game, and the defense held Detroit to under 20.
Now the Chiefs are looking dangerous. Now they're looking dangerous, Steve. And we have a problem, because if you see Kansas City in Arrowhead in the playoffs, that's a 99% lose probability. Like, it is a tough place to go into mentally with the fans, with the atmosphere, and then you look across the field and you see Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. The offense is now putting up consistently 30-plus points a game. Their biggest knock last year was their offensive production. They relied on their defense to win them games. Now the offense is matching the intensity of that defense. That Chiefs defense under Spags is stifling some really good NFL offenses. This week against the Lions, they stifled Lamar. They've done it time and time again, and we've seen it in the biggest of moments. The run game is starting to get going. They're moving. Hunt. They got Pacheco who had a great night. Mahomes is only getting better, and that's crazy to say, but like you said, the Chiefs and Mahomes have always been the measuring stick. Since his rookie year, he's always been, well, since his second year, but his first year starting, he's always been the measuring stick. Mahomes Mountain. How do they compare to the Chiefs? Can the Bills beat the Chiefs? Will Lamar overcome Kansas City? Can the Eagles beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? Yeah, they did, but nobody's crowning them as the dynasty. No, Kansas City's the dynasty. The receiving room has now moved from a C-plus group up to potentially an A with Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, an aging Travis Kelce, but still useful. Thornton, who's been really good. He's a great number 3 option. I mean, they're in good hands. Juju, I know he got in the scrap post-game, which was hilarious. But, man, the Chiefs are a team you count out, and you just simply can't do that. You can't. I didn't. I've seen this tale. It's been told so many times. You can't count out the team that does it the best when it matters. As for the Lions, Detroit has really impressed me this year, Steven. I expected the loss of Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to be a lot more than what I've seen from the production on the field. Jared Goff, when he's protected, is really good. He's an elite quarterback when he's got protection. He's slinging the rock. Pretty phenomenal to see that connection with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who they've both got now signed, Laporta. They got weapons, right? Monty. They got Jahmyr Gibbs. O-line, not too bad. Defense, their secondary was injured, but it's pretty good. You know, I'm kind of writing this one off. You play a good team. It happens. You're 4-2. You're moving forward. You're a playoff team. Where do you see them in the NFC as far as rankings go? Like, are they an A-tier team? Are they a Super Bowl contender for you?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're at the top of the NFL. Listen, just like you said, I'm not going to indict the Lions because of a loss to Mahomes, Reed, Kelce, Chris Jones, Spags, and Arrowhead. Anyone's losing in Arrowhead. Sorry, especially when the offense of the Chiefs looks like that and their defense is playing that well. Yeah, do they have the same flaws that they had the last few years? Weak secondary, Goff's limited outside the pocket? Sure. But like you said, if you were to tell me that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn were still the coordinators of the team, I wouldn't argue because it looks like it. They're not. We know they're coaching for the Bears and the Jets, but it doesn't look like they skipped a beat, and I give a lot of credit to Dan Campbell. Again, 17 points for the highest scoring offense in the league. You'd want more. It felt like outside of that opening drive, the offense kind of stalled. They completed a lot of passes, but they didn't score a ton of points. Got held up on 4th down a few times. But to me, that's more of a takeaway of how the Chiefs are playing right now than how bad the Lions are. I still think the Lions, what are they, 4-2? They're fine. They're fine. I think they're going to finish in the NFC Championship game.
Yep, I wouldn't overreact about this loss at all. It's 2 good teams going at it. It's going to happen. You're going to lose some games. You're going to win some. It's the NFL. Last game I wanted to cover, Patriots 25, Saints 19. To be totally honest with you, I watched the game for Drake Maye. I watched it for this Pats offense. Haven't watched too much Saints football this year. Sorry. You know, it's the New Orleans Saints. You got to prioritize your time sometimes. I watched Drake Maye and his production, and what I've seen so far this year is Drake Maye playing at an elite level. Drake Maye is easily a top 10 quarterback this season. I'm not saying in general or in the league, but the way he's performing right now, you could make an argument that he's top 8, top 5 with the stats he's putting up, with the performances and the wins that he's had. It's funny how all of a sudden everyone's jumping on the Drake Maye hype train. The people who watched him last year could tell you this was destined for the future. He was always the future for this franchise. But now people are tuning in because the Patriots are finally a good team. They're 4-2. They're winning some games. This has been Drake Maye since he entered the league. Last year, the production was really good considering the team he's dealing with. He is still dealing with an average group of receivers. I said it last week. I'll say it again. An average group of guys. Yeah, Stephon Diggs is good. Yeah, Booty's pretty good. But like Pop Douglas, these guys are not starters in Philly. Like maybe, like obviously Diggs would probably be the 3, but like is Booty or Pop Douglas starting there with A.J. Brown and Smitty and Jahan Dotson and Goddard? I don't know, right? So the way that I've seen him control games, he is super smart and methodical. He takes what's given to him. He doesn't force too many things deep. He's just, his mental processing of the game for a second-year quarterback is so advanced. And he has sneaky athleticism that he unleashes when he needs to. He can check down to his legs, pick up a few first downs. You feel confident watching him take game-winning drives to the end zone and win you games. You feel confident watching him win you games. You feel confident putting your trust on his shoulders and him doing it for you. I want to know where he ranks for you this season, Steven, as far as quarterbacks go, because I think he's been pretty incredible. I know we talked about his comparison with Jaden Daniels this year, but I think he's been really good.
Well, I'll start out with saying this. I think if you're a Patriots fan today, this is the best you felt since 2018 when they won the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying this Patriots team is going to rattle off a Super Bowl in 2025, but why you should feel happy is because you got the guy. Drake Maye's the guy. He's the franchise quarterback. He's a hit. He's playing as good as the number 3 pick from last year as you want him to be. He has you in a really good spot. There's just no more questions at this point. Week 1, I had my doubts. I know cousin Sal was saying he's Drake maybe because he kind of seemed a little all over the place. But there's no more questions anymore. The arm, the legs, you see the talent. They're 4-2. They're first place in the division since Brady. This is Josh Allen's division, and Drake Maye's got you number 1 right now, beating Josh Allen on Sunday Night Football prior. You can't feel like you're not in a good spot right now. And what's fascinating to me about Drake Maye is I do think he's played like a top 10 quarterback this season. I think he's playing like the best quarterback in his class. Do I think he's the best quarterback in his class? I think it's Jaden. But this season, he's definitely played like the best quarterback in his class. And why I think it's fascinating is we saw 3 of them play tonight. Caleb, Jaden, Penix on Monday Night Football. Maye was drafted in the worst situation out of all of them, and he's playing the best this season. Right? Like, Daniels got McLaurin, and then he gets Debo. Caleb gets Rome, DJ Moore, and now Ben Johnson. JJ, I don't have to explain. Michael Penix, you saw Bijan Robinson and Drake London tonight. And, Bo Nix gets Cortland Sutton, Sean Payton, and a decent wide receiver core.
And the defense, too.
And the defense. Who did Drake Maye get in his rookie season when we had the questions about Drake Maye? Really no one. And I know his receiving core has been bad this season, but Diggs on his last legs. Seems like Diggs gave it his all against his former team. But Booty, Douglas, and a running back who always fumbles, it's not the best to work with without like this elite play caller at head coach. And here he is playing like the best quarterback in his class. I think he had 3 touchdowns against New Orleans. He is ripping the ball downfield. Again, so this Patriots team, don't think they're going to win the playoff game or anything like that. But that's not the expectation. You're feeling high as a kite right now because since 12 left at Tampa, you got your guy in Drake Maye in 5-6 games of year 2 looks like the quarterback for this team for the next decade. And you couldn't feel any better.
He really does. His stat line against the Saints, and keep in mind, they ripped him of like another 150 yards and a touchdown.
Called back, yeah.
That OPI, by the way, on Stephon Diggs was absolutely unbelievable. But anyways, I digress. 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's beat up on some pretty bad teams, but the game against Buffalo really was the icing on the cake to start the season. In like, yeah, he didn't have 3 touchdowns against the Bills, but he didn't make any mistakes. And he made some pretty spectacular throws. So after watching that, you're scratching your head and you're like, yeah, he's legit. Absolutely, he's legit. It's not just these bad defenses that he's going up against and he's dunking on. And I'll give him credit for that. It's the NFL, right? But against Buffalo, I watched and I'm like, oh, he's legit. He's legit. And the people, the real ones, they've known. So I want to end off the episode here, Steve, with a little segment. I didn't even tell you we were doing this, but I want to get your natural opinions on this.
Okay.
Would you rather Drake Maye this season edition? I'm going to give you some quarterbacks just from this season, their performance so far. I want to see which quarterback you'd rather take. So the first one up I had, Baker Mayfield.
Man, I suck at would you rather. But yeah, Baker. Baker's arguably the MVP of the season ended today. Baker, not that many people are playing the quarterback position better than Baker.
Yeah, you know what? He's been my MVP pick too. I had some bad takes this year, but I got to take that one out the archives. Daniel Jones, your guy.
I think Daniel Jones has played better, but Maye is creeping up. Maye is creeping up. Give it a few more weeks, and we'll see how long this Daniel Jones thing's last. Didn't have the best outing against the Cardinals, but Drake Maye's heating up. But I'd say right now Daniel Jones has played a little bit better.
Sam Darnold. Like these
I'll
are
go
a lot
Sam
of
Darnold.
there's a lot of
Sam
quarterbacks
Darnold.
that have been playing really good this year.
I go Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it's close. Like they're all within the same range. Dak Prescott.
Dak.
Yeah.
Dude, I love how Dak's playing right now. Oh my God, I love how Dak's playing right now.
Dak is balling.
If his defense could give him a chance in some of these games, man, Dak would get MVP votes.
Well, what do you think about this last one here? Maybe we'll get a Drake Maye. Matthew Stafford.
Ooh. A
little spicy, eh? A little spicy.
Nah, I'll go Stafford. But again, I think Drake Maye is catching up. But I'm going Stafford.
Yeah.
I think all the quarterbacks, Darnold, Baker, Stafford, whoever you said, I think all those guys are playing better than Maye right now. But I think Maye is really catching up. I think he is. He had a shaky start to the season. The Pittsburgh game, the Raiders game, there were some turnovers. He wasn't really scoring at the level you wanted. Now, I know Saints-Dolphins games were mixed in there, but he's looked pretty good. But I'd say all those quarterbacks have had better seasons than Drake Maye, although Drake Maye, we'll see by week 17 who's actually played better.
Yeah, I think it's going to change, man. I really do. And these quarterbacks are balling. One more off the top of my head because I'm rolling right now. What about Josh Allen, the way he's played this year?
Man, you know what?
Like, I'm probably taking Drake Maye.
I was about to say, you know what? The guy was the MVP leader according to Vegas for like 4 or 5 weeks. But I'm not going to lie. And this is not just because, he beat Josh Allen. I think statistically, too, Drake Maye has just been playing the quarterback position better than Josh Allen this season. Now, like I said about Drake Maye, is this going to change? By week 17, Josh Allen will probably be better than Drake Maye. But right now, you put up the numbers, of course, the head-to-head win in Buffalo. I think Drake Maye's just played the position better than Josh Allen.
A lot of good quarterbacks this season. We'll see how things shape up for the rest of the season. That was Week 6 Monday night recap, Steve. Thanks for being with me, brother. I'm pumped up to have you on the pod every week. Hopefully we can keep things rolling.